Okay, are we all ready? Am I missing anyone? It looks like we have 20 on site, so. Yep, okay, great. So I moved out of my awkward little lighting office, so I'm actually down on my dining room table. So how was your last session? I heard everyone's doing learning projects, so that should be exciting. You can unmute your mic and talk.
Decided yet.
Haven't decided yet?
No. I was going to do Klingon for kindergartens, but nah.
I was at a Canada Day in Montreal years ago, and so they had different, cultural, floats, and one of them was a Star Trek float. Had full-on Klingon wear and everything. It was pretty awesome. So, online. If any of you want to share what you're doing on the EDCI515 hashtag, Rick Astley's backup dancers. Okay. Anyway, they're undergrads, kind of trying to do personalized learning, and none of them are getting it, but a number of them are kind of in the, oh my gosh, how do I choose what to do mode? So if you want to share your learning there to give them an idea, that would be great. Do you still have RefWorks issues, Leanne? Or others? Because I just saw some tweets about, yes?
I keep logging into UVic. I keep doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, and then I'll find a bunch of papers that I want to save onto RefWorks, and it won't let me in.
Can you contact Scott Johnston about that? He has probably as well, but he might be a better contact. And I know that there's the library website that has the chat anytime thing as well, but if it's an ongoing issue, then, or if you can screen capture stuff that's going on for them, because I hate seeing that pop up again. Library can't access, Keith can't access, and so yeah, that's a drag.
I know I paid my fines, Keith.
You what?
I know I paid my fines, Keith. I don't know about him.
I haven't paid mine, so they're still letting me access it. I have a lot of fines, so yeah, it's better for me to buy. So yeah, I don't know why I would be intermittent with you though.
When I got my gown and stuff for graduation, and I got a little envelope saying you have a fine that must be paid, I swear I ran to the library and paid for it before the graduation ceremony. But I don't know. They might be something else there. I don't know.
Well, hopefully, I can always go over and raise some heck. Actually, they have a donate in lieu of fines, canned goods. So maybe I'll just bring some canned goods in and say, I'm Keith Rispin, and so accept this and waive my fines. So I'll watch for that the next time we have a holiday. Yeah. So I wanted to also I've met with a number of you one-on-one the last week. So I don't know if others still would like to do that too. It's I think kind of useful to sort of sound out with someone. And that's going to be, I think, a key piece. So does everyone have their reading group sorted out? And excuse me for the doggy sounds next door. I'm going to have to do something if they keep it up. So some people are not yet. Because what I'd like to try and do today is make that sort of more solid for doing some action projects. When we show up next week, they're formed. So where do we have that listed there where we're going to do our lit review pieces? Is under lit reviews, the read me first document. I'll put the link in there again because I'd like you to have that set that you have someone. So you have a much better idea of project topic. Well, let me know if you want to sound it out against anything. So that's the README first document that we looked at last week, and so I think we had the group's formation partway down there. So could we have that it's committed? And if you're not on the same topic, that would be fine. Sharing topics makes, that's synergy is awesome, but I think just any kind of support and peer reading group would be ideal. I also did find another MEd description. So I shared one MEd description project with all of you, and was uploaded to that folder. There's another one that a different cohort last year has used, and that's it. I put it into editable because I think we can still have some say on how we want to shape our sharing, for example. So this one sort of describes: engage in a 20-minute question and answer session with your professors, prepare a polished 3-minute talk in each of the following, that kind of thing. I think we could do something a little interesting in terms of sharing out. So I know that Jake was sort of saying that we should all try and do something a little bit more outwardly as well. So I'm going to put it out there as a template. Some of the stuff is going to be fairly certain, but I think when it comes to how we do our presentation, we could be creative. Anyway, so think about how you might want to have that look. We can do because we're distributed, we're everywhere, we can do a public larger one. We could try and use media and how we present it in a little bit more of an interesting way than the traditional presentation kind of piece. So anyhow, and this is a language and literacy program that's doing it this way, and every program kind of has their own spin and style. So again, that's why I'm going to put it up there as something a little bit more of a draft. But it's nice for you to have now 2 examples of what MEd projects are. So there's the one listing, and here's a second one for you. That said, I'd like to make it really clear that you're not picking your project right now. So you're picking like the topic, a problem, and you're doing a lit search, and that's where it kind of stops. Of course, you're going to be thinking project, but going towards what you're going to do as a project is something that you'll decide on in the July course. So yeah. And Keith, you're not going to be going it alone. I'll be your reading partner. So, and it's really been interesting also, like, again, being a sounding board for people this last week. So if, I'm not sure which one I was talking to, maybe Melody or was it Christopher, about, and I tweeted it out as well, being keen on, as you're doing your reading, so you don't actually have to go and do the same thing twice, because what you'll do is you'll read articles and you'll put them down or file it away or keep it in its uploaded spot. But if you then go to do your lit review, you're going to come back and go, I'm going to have to dig up all these papers again because I haven't read them for ages. And you're going to reread them, and then you're going to write about them. So if you could read them and then make summary notes in your lit review template, just even stuff it somewhere, then it's going to give you a little bit of, you don't actually have to come and repeat that task of rereading and summarizing. So read and brain dump, write a summary of it, and it can be in a separate piece that you can be doing. We aren't getting sound. Rick Astley. So you can't hear? What's the name of his song? It is all too quiet here, everybody. Somebody unmute your mic and talk. Never gonna give you up. Yes, that's it. Okay, Rick is coming back in again. You still can't get on Blackboard. Jack, I asked him, I said, why are you switching to Blackboard? I said, Mardell will like it. So probably a few people like it. But he found it disorienting. Maybe it's like really good. Here you know. Rick Astley. But yeah, he found it disoriented where people would talk and it would switch. So anyway, maybe you're in like quiet mode from that. I'm gonna be quiet and I want to hear from you, how you're doing on that, and if you have your groups hired. I know I'm just checking in today. I'm not going to keep you very long, but I just want to make sure we have that set up. How about some summaries from folks on where they're at, how they're finding it. Do they have their group? If anyone doesn't have your group, can you speak up and maybe we can pin it?
I don't have my group, but I'm hoping that Jake and I have some crossover and we'll be able to connect in the next day or so.
Yeah, I think the two of you may have some crossover. So lots of people are looking at inquiry, just sort of in different kind of ways, I think. All right, moving away from the little rolling dervish dogs in the other. Okay, so everyone else has their group going. So perhaps Jake and Tanny can be in a reading group. Going back to the recommended timeline. So everyone, I think a couple of people said that they're going to have until Saturday. How are we doing on that? Anyone have questions or comments on that? I'm so sorry about the barking dogs. How's feedback now? Is it from my end? Okay, Jared. So I said, how are people doing with their research topic problem statements? Are we ready to go forward? Yeah, someone has running water. Okay. Who's running water? Okay, looks like it's quiet. Okay, so research problems topics. Do people have that down, or are there anyone wants to share that their process is like, or that they're still picking? Keith is gonna, okay, we can chat to solidify, because that actually, maybe some of the people I spoke to this week can share what their experience was like in narrowing down, either picking or getting closer to.
Still on chapter 2 of Cresswell.
Okay. Well, that's good. Get through chapter 2, and it's a good chapter for sure. I think it's the page 60 or 70 that does tackle that problem thing. Hopefully that's not sarcastic, Keith. It's always hard to tell. Okay, so Jane, if you like to run it by, and I think like I did a walk with Allison because she's so close, so same with you if you do want to do a walk, or if anyone wants to do a walk and talk, we can get our Fitbit up to go meet Mardell. Okay, so chapter 2 is on the identifying a research problem, and 3 is on reviewing the literature. So if you can still work towards completing that, and contact me, some of you has done to do some of the brains.
You can only listen.
Here's my phone number. Oh, sorry.
No worries. Who was that?
We're having trouble getting in. We're on the phone and we forgot that we're not on mute.
We're excited. We're high-fiving each other.
Sorry, just for recruited by Rick Astley.
Okay, so what I would like to do with the timeline is that you start putting even the brain dumps of things that you're reading into your lit review document. Also, check your permissions on your lit review document that no one can write it, they can only add comments to it. So if you can claim that, that would be great, just so no one deletes it. But how would a deadline of next Thursday, how would you feel about that being 2 pages into writing in your lit review? But that can just be doing reviews of reading articles. I'm getting no.
Can you say that again, Valerie? I missed it.
So if you're narrowing down on your topic, and I'd like you to have your research problem statement, which will help you do your lit search, for next Thursday, having 2 summaries of articles would be fine, Harpreet, because that can be use later and rejigged and moved around into your document, but 2 pages towards putting text into your lit review. You don't have to have your outline done per se of what you're going to be doing, but if you're reading articles, summarize the article in your lit document. And and that's the thing. Like, writing is at least my style of writing is it's a messy process. So if you're going to read an article right now, Rick, I don't know which one wrote that, but if you're going to read an article, like I'm mentioning, you know it best when you've read it fresh. So you can put it down, read a whole bunch, and then come back and go, I'm going to write my lit review. And you're going to look at all the stack of papers that you've already read, and they're not going to be fresh. And you're going to need to reread them to get them fresh to write. And really all you're doing is putting a description of what that article is saying. And it'll have to be modified and reworked and flow to be handled. And if you ditch a certain topic or subsection, then maybe that means that you ditch the summary if it belonged in that. But if you can take the time to summarize and write out what that paper was about, then it just becomes, about reordering things, creating headings, slotting things into the right spots, and you've done the reading and you've done the summarizing of it, so you can kind of not have to come back and reread everything to get it fresh. So I think that would be helpful in getting some of the stuff out there. So if you're going to start reading a framework, for example, and it can be 3 or 4 broad topic areas. So who was I talking with? Maybe Allison, do you want to share some of our discussion about different headings?
I think when I was reading through other people's lit reviews, I noticed that a lot of people had chunked them into different categories. So it was different areas that related to their larger topic, and it seemed like a much easier way to make it make sense. So in fact, for me, I was looking at regio and inquiry and how they're related. Then I would do a lit review on the regio approach first, and then I would do the inquiry approach second, and then I could look and see if there's anything relating the two.
Yeah, definitely. And see, this is what's so great about chunks. So if it's going to be, let's say Reggio Emilio is a framework or approach, who else had an approach that they were talking about in the last few days, the theoretical umbrella? If you're going to read about that theoretical umbrella right now, that's your heading, insert name of theoretical umbrella, and then as you're reading it, just introduce what it is and studies that are that formed it or the books that formed it. But then the next piece might be, I'm looking at elementary school level adoption of the Reggio method, let's say, right? So then you're going to have like another heading that is talking about not just it, but applied to a learning setting. So you might have settings. Inquiry-based learning wouldn't be a theoretical framework. That would kind of be an approach. So constructivism would be a theoretical framework. So if you want to start out with constructivism as a theoretical framework, create a section for that, and you're going to have to introduce the reader what is constructivism. So you're going to have to pretend that the person you're writing to doesn't really know too much about anything. So start with what is constructivism, describe it, and then you go into the other different chunks. So what are your chunks, Keith? Yeah, Keith is like amazing on Fitbit.
Chunks?
Yeah, what are your chunks?
For me to specifically say exactly, constructivism, going through constructivism as a model and with regards to digital learning is going to be one. How that becomes an issue or a problem with regards to the established teaching practice is going to be another. and then there's going to be a third one in there too that I haven't quite settled on yet.
And what was the other example? Jason, Kent, did you want to share anything about your ideas yet?
Well, I haven't finalized anything yet, but I'm looking at the reporting out for students. So with the new MyEdBC, the ability to allow parents to see your marks or your grade book. So basically, how that's going to look and how that's going to play out.
So then, the theoretical framework that Jason needs to sort of pick would cover what's your lens on sort of assessment or reporting, or parent engagement, student engagement, or agency, right? Because if they're going to be more involved by seeing, so some of the chunks there might be, whatever the theoretical framework is, talking about assessment or reporting, right? What some of the practices are, what research shows, and then it can be about parent engagement in that process or student engagement in that process. So it might be other research out there. So those can be separate headings, and then it's kind of tying it all together. So you may actually not just be doing one lit search. You may find yourself doing some broader ones that you're going to talk about in a broader way. Like, what is the state of the nation of, or state of BC in assessment and reporting, right? Like, what's happening elsewhere, and then kind of bringing it into the specific case problem. Mardell asked if most people's lit reviews are open. I get a drop file here logo, but no reviews. So where are people at with their lit reviews? They got their folders going. So I think right now, because it's a lot of people are doing the reading bit, that we have some going on, but some not. So that's what I'm saying. As soon as you are reading, read and brain dump it. Write your summary of what it is you're reading.
Can you use ministry documents in your lit review?
Of course, yeah. So you just cite them as a white paper kind of thing or a report. Okay. So under APA, and so it would probably be the BC Ministry of Education bracket something, unless there's some individual wrote it, but usually the government documents are by the government, like the cite an IRP, right, would be BC Ministry of Education, that, and then the name of the IRP.
Perfect, thanks.
Okay, Rick, I will post the link to that. That's my typical review piece. So again, so going to the recommended timelines, I want to start working on some immediate timelines for trying to write. So if we want to slow it up here, we can make it sort of a page of writing by next Thursday, and that can be like, it does not have to be anything totally polished, but if you get a page of writing of summaries of some of your papers, or if you want to start talking about the introduction or identifying the framework. So for next week, so group formed, and next week 1 page of writing on your lit review. And again, it doesn't have to be that you have a flow. It can be almost kind of like bulleted notes, because you can actually form that out later. Ideally, it'd be nice if you had like a few sentences or paragraph to describe, a study that is more, in your area. Or if you know your framework really well, then you can start describing a little bit about your framework. Does that make sense? So, in the other example of the MEd description, chapter 1 being an introduction is 3 to 4 pages. So this is an introduction to the topic, its significance, and your central questions. A little trick that actually you might like is to get a family member or someone else in the cohort to sit down beside you and ask them to record you or record yourself explaining your elevator pitch of your direction, because you'll find that some of the words you use and how you frame it it's going to be a nice way of capturing your introduction, of laying out what is the topic, why does it matter, and that kind of thing, which is basically what the intro is. So that would be the piece. And then 20 to 23 pages. I don't know how someone can be that exact in putting that down in an MEd description. So it really does vary, and these things can vary widely by 20 pages. So these entire proposals. So anyway, so it's going to be 20-ish something pages that you'll be working on. 20 to 30 is fine. 18 would be fine. Like, it's, you know what I mean? It seems silly to actually, to me, pick 22 or 23, because how do you come to that? It depends on, have you expressed enough ideas? Graphs and cartoons certainly can fill them up 10. Yeah, that's for sure. Sorry, I was looking at the Google Doc, so I wasn't looking at the chat. Okay. Jumping from blogging to real writing is daunting. You know what? If blogging style writing works for you, then write in a casual tone. Just get your framing out, and then you can always go back and edit it to make it more formal. You know what I mean? So that would be style polishing, and that could be. It's not LOL. It's honest. It's getting your ideas out there. It's getting it done. Not having that I'm afraid to click post, thing. And then that could be one of the tasks of your reading partner and myself, is to work with you on that's informal, because actually that's what I just did the other day. I was working with a one of MEd student I was reading through, and I'm like, well, that's informal and that's informal, so I just point to it. She'll revise it for the next time. But I'd rather you have informal out than nothing. Or freezing, or it's just, let's get it rolling to grease the axles, or however you say it. Okay. Any questions or comments there? You know what? It's okay to say what a load of bunk, as long as you edit it later, because there actually is stuff out there that I read sometimes, and it's like, that's a load of bunk. I can't believe that was published. So, I'm going to come in, if it's okay, each week, just to sort of see where our promptings are, even if it's not like our full-on hour week. Like, I wanted to come in today just to, keep things moving, see where things are, just so it's not forgotten and gets carried away. So, and then for me, knowing exactly everyone's research topic, problem, purpose, things, if you can even take that sample research direction formation using those 4 headings, put that in your lit review at the top, along with your keywords, your Boolean logic, the databases you're searching. If you haven't already done that, then that would be key. So that would be something I'd like to commit for next week. So under the read me first thing, next week, group formed, research problem formed, 4 headings from Cresswell entered in your lit review document. Is that okay? So do that kind of sample problem formation, but do it with your own, and then 1 page of writing on your own lit review. Again, I'm going to say casual even. So what else? Did I say anything else there? Okay. And no worries. Time for one-to-one is, I'm good tomorrow, and Saturday and Sunday, and however. And if you want, you, me, and Jake can also do that too, Tanya. Okay. But it's really quiet today. I caught you after, maybe that's what it's like after you already have been with the class for 1 hour. You can definitely do me. Is that on Monday Pro D Day? I teach 11:30 to 1:30, so before that would be good. Otherwise, after is fine. I just have to be transitioning out of that. Okay, you're freaking out. Okay, how do the people who met with me this week feel? Are you freaking out? Can I hear from Allison and Christopher and Jason? Who else did I chat with this past?
I met with you too.
Melody, yeah. So can you?
Sure, I'm not totally freaking out. I'm like partially freaking out. So I don't know. I'm doing okay. Thanks, Alice. When I see you cracking up, I'm doing okay in finding articles now, and the suggestion to summarize them as I read them is good. I just need to get on that. My maybe partial freak out is just I need to get on the theoretical framework, the umbrella. So I'm only partially freaked.
But you can, if you're reading, like you said, you have all these other articles that you've read, you can start dumping that writing in. It's not going to be something where you have finished reading 50 papers or something and you are going to just be like, cracking your fingers at the piano recital on a stage and you're going to go, here comes the masters. It doesn't work like that. It's the messy, I got a little chunk here, a little chunk there, and I'm going to dump stuff in and it will slowly get bigger process. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be chunky.
Yeah, definitely. Just do it bit by bit. Yeah. It is a lot to do, but you've got 8 months ahead of you to really do it. You've got 4 months here in which to do it within this course. And like I said, and I'm fine with giving extensions if people are a little bit, needing it. So yeah, no freaking out allowed. NFOA, I'm all for that. So, and Allison, so you're feeling less freaked out, but more you have a lot to work to do, I'm hoping?
My problem is I kind of changed my topic. So I was feeling really good before Christmas, and then I changed my topic. So now I'm back to just having lots to do. But you're right. I don't think it's not that I'm trying to figure it out. It's just that I have to just get going on it more than anything.
Yeah. And that is one thing that I remember doing for my own PhD. And I was allowed to skip the master's, so my PhD was my first master's thesis, kind of just excelled. So I had a supervisor who basically didn't push me with timelines. And so I basically kind of did the perfectionism-y thing and stayed. Suzanne, can you skip your master's? But without the timelines, I just kind of kept putting things off, or I'd be doing some bits, but I just fussed on it so much when really I needed to show him my dirty bedroom closet, right? So I could get the large, redirection-y things or to get it out there. There was no, I want to see a draft of chapter 1 by X date. And frankly, I think we need that. So that would have been helpful in speeding me up. So I think next week, if nothing else, grab some articles, read them that are related to your area, and write summaries of them into your piece. If you know enough, start making an outline. But so I just wrote it up there, Thursday, January 22nd. In the Google Doc. So next week, your reading group formed, research problem formed, or you're talking with me, and I don't mind talking for an hour. I think I talked to everyone for an hour, one-on-one. So, and we'll hash it out. And yeah, actually that should be the same subheading, the 4 headings from that. Reduced it from 2 pages to 1. Okay, yeah, definitely. I can come over and help you clean and fold your dirty laundry, Jane. So, yeah. Oh, I can understand that new report card system. to learn as well in February. Yeah. But little chunks, and that's why I think it would be really good to have your reading group, and if your reading group's just 2 people, or if it's 3 in total, then at least you can try to, like we had the club last term. You had for those of you who did that reading club Wednesday nights, you met, pick a date to commit to, meet and chat, or just commit that you're going to read and write something in for next Thursday.
Valerie?
Yep.
Okay, this is where I think Lori and I are stuck, and I don't know if anyone else is. We have a ton of articles that we've found and printed, and then are we doing like that research question, research statement, find the findings, how is it going to connect to your paper? Is sort of the summary that we're creating for each article, or are we just summarizing what the article's about?
So, in a lit review, like if you read David's or any of the ones that you've read actually out there, because every journal article usually has its own lit review in there, they'll actually refer to studies done, and so did this in a study and they found that, so and so did that in a study and they found this. So really, it can some people make it really segmented. It feels choppy to read. I don't like it that way so much, but where it's just one paper kind of per paragraph, next paper is another paragraph. Yeah, no worries, Trevor. And so if you're going to be reading that paper, like how many have you read so far, Tracy?
A lot, and a lot of them aren't actually, like, we've kind of thrown some away because they were too old. We've kind of had some make work projects, but I would say 10 if we've probably read.
So, you could have had, and if there are 10 that you would keep, that you feel are relevant enough to your direction, don't summarize one that you don't want, you don't think is strong, throw that out. But if you're like, that's a good article, whether it's related to the theoretical framework or if it's related to one or the other headings, it could be a broader heading about assessment, and you're going to, hone in on a certain type of assessment for your lit review. But it still would be useful to have, something supporting at a broad level. So read it, summarize the good ones in there, because then you're going to have so-and-so said this, or they did this and they found that, and put it in there, because that will be bringing together some of those in a flow that will be your lit review.
And as far as like a theory goes, like looking for a theory, should we be downloading articles on a theory that's going to work with it to quote that?
Yeah, so your theory, you don't go, a lit review is not going to be in depth on the theory. You're going to have like just a few pages, or I've seen even a couple of pages just talking about the theoretical framework. So, what's the rationale, right, of that theory? Why is it related to this area? What is it? Who made it? What's the contribution being? What is it? Or the constructs involved? How do they define them? Just whatever you have on that theory. If it has a model, then you insert the figure in there as well. But yeah, so I think I shared last term about making a table for summarizing your articles. But even beyond that, if it's a good one, turn to your document and write a summary of it. So, okay. Any feedback on that, or is that something that we can get going for next week? And then from there we can talk a little less about the lit review, and I can talk a little bit more about some of the other methods topics. You're stoked, Keith. Okay, I really want to see how your expression is on that. I hope you are. Okay. You are, good. All right, so we'll talk on Monday, and like I said, anyone else who is still seeking or searching, if we can talk next week, so then I think we'll have probably a majority of people chatted with, and yeah. Okay. Oh, Friday, as in tomorrow? Okay, yeah, tomorrow I'm free until 10. I'm in a meeting 10 till noon, and then I'm free after that. So, okay, sounds good. All right, everyone's quiet. All right, so I will see you next week after Alex's class, and we'll do a sort of. I'm going to talk a little bit less about this. We're going to go into the reading groups and read each other's one-pagers and talk about your directions, and we'll go with there, and we'll go on to topics in Creswell. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. And I'll hang on here if anyone wants to hang on and talk about their direction too, because I'm free right now. Have a good night. Bye.
See you later, folks.
Hi, Valerie. Thank you.
Okay. Night. And Brian, did you get my email?